Drake filed a suit, an actual petition against UMG Recordings and Spotify. I know a lot of people not going to read it, so I'm going to take the time to read it, do some Googling, see what we can find. You know, we're going to go through all 17 pages. I got the beat on repeat, you know, so just sit back. We're going to go through this. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. The O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today we got a bunch of stuff going on in the music business. And before we talk about it, let's just go straight into the lawsuit. So today filed New York County Clerk 11/25/2024, 9:59 a.m. That's today's date. Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of New York, in the matter of the applicant of Frozen Moments LLC. Let's see who they are. Frozen Moments LLC, registered in Florida, date filed in 2009. It's active. Aubrey, title manager, Aubrey D. Graham. Report year 2023-2024, so it's active. Okay, let's go back over here. We know that's Drake. Or order pursuant to Section 3102C of the Civil Practice Law and Rules to compel pre-action disclosure from UMG Recordings Incorporated and Spotify USA Incorporated. All right, so let's see what this means. Copy that. Let's come over here. Requires a court order in New York to compel pre-action disclosure under the Civil Practice Law and Rules CPLR. You will use CPLR 3102C, which allows the party to seek court order disclosure before commencing an action to aid in bringing in a lawsuit, preserve information, or assist in arbitration. Key points about CPLR 3102C: requires a court order. Unlike standard discovery during a lawsuit, pre-action disclosure under this section requires a court order to be granted. Showing needed. To obtain pre-action disclosure, the requesting party must demonstrate to the court that they have a factual-based claim and need the information to properly initiate a lawsuit. Methods of disclosure. The court may allow various discovery methods like document production, interrogatories, or depositions to be used for pre-action disclosure. What is court order disclosure? Duty to disclose general provisions governing discovery. 1. Initial disclosure. In general, except as exempted in Rule 26A1B or as otherwise stipulated or ordered by the court, a party must, without awaiting a discovery request, provide to the other parties the name and, if known, the address, telephone number of each individual likely to have discoverable information, along with the subjects of that information that the disclosing party may use to support its claims or defenses, unless the use would be solely for impeachment. A copy or a description by category and location of all documents electronically stored, information, and tangible things that the disclosing party has in its possession, custody, or control, and may use to support its claims or defenses, unless the use would be solely for impeachment. A computation of each category of damages claimed by the disclosing party, who must also make available for inspection and copying, as under Rule 34, the documents of other evidentiary material unless privileged or protected from disclosure. on which each computation is based, including materials bearing on the nature and extent of injury suffered, and for inspection and copying as under Rule 34, any insurance agreement under which an insurance business may be liable to satisfy all or part of a possible judgment in the action, or to indemnify or reimburse for payments made to satisfy the judgment. We're not going to go through all that. But essentially what I'm getting is that they want them to, they're letting them know what they're suing them for or what they are going to sue them for, and giving them the opportunity to disclose any information that they have, and they're disclosing what they're suing them for and why and what evidence they have. So it says UMG Recordings Incorporated are for an order pursuant to Section 3102C of the Civil Practice Law and Rules to compel pre-action disclosure from UMG Recordings Incorporated and Spotify USA Incorporated. Respondents. So this is just a petition. It's a verified petition that was filed. Petitioner, Frozen Moments LLC, petitioner of Frozen Moments by and through its undersigned attorneys, respectfully petitions the court pursuant to New York Civil Practice Law and Rule CPLR 3102C for an order granting limited pre-action disclosure from respondents UMG Recordings Incorporated, UMG, and Spotify USA Incorporated, Spotify, and directing the preservation of relevant evidence in the possession, custody, of control of UMG. So they're trying to preserve any evidence or anything that UMG might have that will support the claims that they have. Nature of the dispute. 1. In his memo to staff reflecting on highlights of 2021, the CEO of UMG, Lucian Grange, remarked on it being harder than ever for artists to break through the noise. 60,000 songs are added to Spotify every day. Spotify is the world's most popular audio streaming subscription service. As of the end of the third quarter of 2024, Spotify boasted more than 640 million monthly active users and 252 million subscribers. Spotify pays music companies like UMG for the right to license songs so it can play them on its streaming and subscription platforms. In 2023 alone, Spotify paid more than $9 billion in royalties to music labels and producers. Hip-hop is one of the most popular genres on Spotify, amounting to nearly a quarter of all streams on Spotify globally in 2023. Spotify and UMG have a long-standing symbiotic business relationship. As one of Spotify's earliest supporters, UMG entered into a multi-year global license agreement with Spotify in 2020. UMG and Spotify collaborate on strategic marketing campaigns and products, and in 2024 announced an expansion of their strategic partnership through which Spotify will amplify music discovery and social interaction and enhance fan experiences across the platform for UMG's family of artists and songwriters. We'll look at that. Based on UMG's financial reporting, Spotify paid UMG around $2.28 billion in 2023, which amounted to 19% of UMG's total revenues in 2023. So first, let's look at UMG's family of artists and songwriters. Number 7. So this is from a press release. Universal Music Group and Spotify expend strategic partnership. Let's open that in a new tab. Universal Music Group, Spotify, companies to collaborate on new promotional and social tools to help artists and songwriters drive interaction and excitement around new releases. UMG artists will soon be able to share short pre-release teasers and expanded pre-save opportunities on Spotify. Universal Music Group, the world leader in music-based entertainment, and Spotify, the world's most popular audio streaming subscription service, today announced an expansion of their strategic relationship that will further amplify music discovery and social interaction and enhance fan experiences across the platform for UMG's family of artists and songwriters. It says March 28th, 2024. When did Like That come out? When did Like That come out by Future and Kendrick Lamar? The song Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar was released on March 22nd, 2024. March 22nd, 2024. Let's go see what else. March 27th, 2024. Okay. That's crazy because this lines up right within. This is March 28th, 2024. Under the agreement, Spotify will make available a series of new promotional and social features that will help artists drive interaction and generate excitement around new releases. To start, UMG artists will have the ability to share teasers of upcoming music on Spotify to increase fan engagement and pre-save activity before a new release. Additionally, a new agreement with Universal Music Publishing Group, UMG, will enable Spotify to distribute music videos in the U.S., enabling deeper experiences with the songs, the artists, and the songwriters. The companies will continue to explore additional features that allow fans to discover artists and propel virality of new releases. They will share more details about these new tools and how artists, songwriters, and fans can leverage them in the near future. Sir Lucian Grange, Chairman and CEO of UMG, we're excited to broaden our relationship with Spotify through the introduction of new content offerings and collaborations that will bring deeper social music experience to the platform. We're always striving to expand opportunities for UMG artists and songwriters to elevate engagement with their fans, especially in the introduction of new music and artistic-centric initiatives. Spotify has been a committed partner in creating tools that help maximize attribution and fair pay for artists and songwriters, and this demonstrates that win-win partnership between music companies and platforms create an environment where innovation, artist compensation, and next-generation fan experience can coexist and move the industry forward. Daniel Ek, founder and CEO of Spotify, said, UMG has consistently been a progressive partner on behalf of their artists and songwriters, contributing to our product development efforts of experimental tools and adopting them early to help artists stand out. The forthcoming features will put more power in the hands of artists and their teams to help them authentically express themselves, efficiently promote their work, and better monetize their art. Okay. So we checked on that. That's real. Streaming is essential to UMG's current bottom line and its future business strategy. In a report related to the third quarter of 2024, UMG noted a nearly 29% year-over-year decrease in downloads and other digital revenue because of the continued format shift towards streaming across the music industry. UMG's long-term strategy relies on accelerating the growth of and monetization from streaming and subscription. In October 2024, UMG unveiled a new slogan, Streaming 2.0, which illustrates the importance UMG places on saturating the streaming market. Let's go there now. Open that in a new link. Bloomberg. Universal Music's grand streaming vision requires cooperation. The company pitched this idea for streaming 2.0 to investors this week. Pulling it off will require various industry stakeholders to cooperate. Cooperate, that sounds a little crazy. All right. Universal Music Group certain new plan for growth lands in a world of uncertainty. Over the past 2 years, whether they liked it or not, most everyone in the music industry became subject to Lucian Grange's agenda. And this week, the company he runs, Universal Music Group, issued new marching orders. During its Capital Markets Day on Tuesday, the company unveiled a new slogan dubbed Streaming 2.0. Michael Nash, Chief Digital Officer at UMG, explained that the idea is to focus less on scale and streaming and instead to maximize customer value through various subscription tiers and by selling additional merchandise or branding opportunities to fans. Sounds like to me what they got upset about with Nicki Minaj, right? Travis Scott, all of those guys, it sounds like they don't I'm not gonna say too much. Let's stay focused. All right, we stay focused. That's on me. While streaming has delivered robust growth to UMG for over a decade, Streaming 2.0 will represent a new age of innovation, consumer segmentation, geographic expansion, and greater value through both subscriber and ARPU growth, Grange said. Much of the strategy's potential upside will rely on streaming services continuing to increase their prices while also launching compelling, pricier premium tiers that give listeners a reason to upgrade their plans. At the moment, this feels like a surefire bet. Spotify's technology, SA, has been working for many months on its so-called Supremium offering and plans to launch it later this year. How many people will upgrade and how Spotify will entice them to do so remain open questions. So far, the tier's primary perk appears to be high-fidelity audio, a product Spotify publicly announced in 2021 and that is already a standard on Amazon Music and Apple Music. Ultimately, it will be up to the streamers to determine how high they're willing to push their prices, but this isn't the first time in recent years that Grange and his team have pushed for significant updates to the way in which the streaming platforms operate. In 2023, UMG began pushing a new streaming idea called the artist-centric model. The strategy boiled down to the idea that a greater share of the revenue generated by streaming platforms should go to those who make music professionally rather than to one-off hobbyists or white noise creators. The model also prioritized doing a better job of cracking down on the fraud that was siphoning revenue away from the rights holders. Simultaneously, UMG also initiated an aggressive push against certain generative artificial intelligence companies and use cases. It helped to launch an organization, the Human Artistry Campaign, to rally artists and organizations of all types around various principles that protect copyright. Over the summer, UMG and other major labels sued the makers of two popular generative AI platforms, alleging that the services were unlawfully training their AI models on copyrighted music. Finally, in an effort to get TikTok to pay higher royalty rates, UMG removed all its artists and songwriters' music from the Ascendant short-form video service, despite a lot of noisy saber rattling at the outset of the disagreement. The protracted battle eventually ended in a whimper after Taylor Swift, a UMG artist, put her music on the service prior to any sort of public UMG-wide deal. In spite of the TikTok setback, UMG has been able to claim a couple of victories elsewhere. Spotify and Deezer SA have implemented several artist-centric changes in the way that they calculate streaming payouts. To date, however, it remains largely unclear how exactly such wins are impacting UMG's overall sales, or how effectively the artist-centric model is moving money from hobbyists and noise creators to professional shops. At this week's presentation, Nash said the company has generally seen significant progress towards Deezer's publicly stated goal of shifting 10% of the royalty pool from a relevant long-tail volume to qualified artists. In terms of Spotify, Nash said it was still early in the platform's implementation process, but we're encouraged about their efforts to deliver on their publicly stated objective to see $1 billion in incremental revenue generated for the music industry's artists over the next 5 years. Still, some aspects of this artist-centric approach depend in large part on the cooperation of various other industry players, ranging from distributors to labels to law enforcement agencies. 2 weeks ago, the Southern District of New York unsealed a court case in which a man allegedly used artificial intelligence to generate songs, which he then streamed with bots. Then prosecution claims his scheme netted him $10 million. We don't know yet which streaming service paid out the majority of those royalties, though Spotify told me last week that it paid out only $60,000 chunk. The fact that any money was paid out at all is a good reminder that 2 years into UMG's artist-centric campaign, there's plenty more work that needs to be done to safeguard the overall streaming ecosystem for artists. When it comes to AI and copyright issues, UMG and other rights holders will remain beholden in the months and years to come to the U.S. courts and government to ensure protections. As of yet, there still hasn't been any definitive ruling on how AI systems can train their models on copyrighted material and who owns the resulting output of those models. How anyone in music will significantly monetize these advances in AI also remains hazy. Currently, UMG is rallying constituents to try and push through legislation. Yesterday, the Human Artistry Campaign ran a print and digital ad in Politico demonstrating the support from various artists for the No Fakes Act, which would federally protect people's voices and likeness from being used without their consent. UMG said this week that under Streaming 2.0, it expects annual sales growth of 7% on average for the next 5 years, thanks to improved subscriptions and monetization of superfans. While the slogan suggests the dawn of a new era in streaming, for now, the multi-variable challenges facing UMG and the rest of the music industry remain stubbornly unchanged. We gotta go here, because didn't Drake use a more than 300 artists agree we need the No Fakes Act, the crucial legislation which will protect everyone from non-consensual deep fakes and voice clones. Tell Congress to support No Fakes. Do we see Drake? I don't think I see Aubrey Graham. Let's see if we see Snoop Dogg on there. I don't see Aubrey Graham. Snoop Dogg is Calvin Broadus. I see Cardi B on there. That's pretty crazy. Common's on there. I think it's pretty crazy that Drake did a song and he's on UMG utilizing AI when September 18th they are promoting against it. So I wonder if that was his way of bucking against the system. Let's check under the G's. It looks like they got it in alphabetical order from the first names. It has some people's artist names. So let's look under Drake. Nope, Drake would be right there. I don't see him. Let's see under the S's if we see a Snoop Dogg. I don't see Snoop neither. Huh. Q-Tip's on there. Let's see if we see Kendrick. You don't see Kendrick Lamar. Interesting. All right. In 2024, UMG did not rely on chance or even ordinary business practices to break through the noise on Spotify and likely other music platforms. It instead launched a campaign to manipulate and saturate the streaming services and airwaves with the song Not Like Us in order to make that song go viral, including by using bots and pay-to-play agreements. Let's see. I could have sworn Drake was on UMG. Let's see. Here we go. According to Variety, Drake's $400 million Universal deal, called LeBron size because of the sheer magnitude of both its value and scope, and encompasses recordings, publishing, merchandising, and visual projects, but simply it's a 360 deal on steroids. All right, let's go back to this. UMG released Not Like Us, or the song, on May 4th, 2024, pursuant to various contractual rights. UMG, via its division Interscope Records, Interscope has exclusive control over the licensing over the song. On information and belief, UMG charged Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than its usual licensing rates for Not Like Us in exchange for Spotify affirmatively recommending the song to users who are searching for other unrelated songs and artists. Neither UMG nor Spotify disclosed that Spotify had received compensation of any kind in exchange for recommending the song. On information and belief, Spotify pays UMG licensing fees through the wires or mails. So they're saying they don't have proof, but they're about to say somebody said it. They pay him through wire and mail. UMG directly or through Interscope also conspired with and paid currently unknown parties to use bots to artificially inflate the spread of Not Like Us and deceive consumers into believing the song was more popular than it was in reality. Bots are software programs designed to mimic human behavior to appear to be real social media accounts. One individual unknown to Petitioner revealed publicly on a popular podcast that Mr. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth's label, i.e. Interscope, paid him via third parties to use bots to achieve 30 million streams on Spotify in the first days of the release of Not Like Us, with the goal of jump-starting the song's spread and turning it into a crazy hit on the platform. Hold on one second. whistleblower describes Spotify as the easiest platform to bot because it does not, like other streaming platforms, have certain security measures when it comes to bot protection. The whistleblower further revealed that on May 6, 2024, an individual affiliated with Interscope sent him a payment of $2,500 via the digital payments platform Zelle, which is owned by a number of banks, and that he has promised another $2,500 and a percentage of the song's total sales for this initial push. On information and belief, UMG hired other unknown third parties to use bots to promote Not Like Us, and also to inflate the streams of the Not Like Us music video, which UMG first published on July 4th, 2024. UMG appears to have used similar tactics with other streaming services on information and belief. UMG paid or approved payments to Apple Inc. to have its voice-activated digital assistant Siri purposely misdirect users to Not Like Us. Online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play the album Certified Lover Boy by recording artist Aubrey Drake Graham, DBA Drake, doing business as, Siri instead played Not Like Us, which contains the lyrics Certified Pedophile, an allegation against Drake. This guy, let's go look at the sources. See, our man Sandler, fans discover Siri plays Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us on Spotify when they ask for Drake's. Let's go and look and see.
I just saw somebody on Twitter request to play Certified Lover Boy on Spotify. I don't believe everything I see online, so let's just test it out. Okay, you're seeing my screen. All right. Play Certified Lover Boy on Spotify. That's crazy. That's crazy. Spotify. What's going on? Carl, I have questions. Is this just because of the lyrics in the song? What's going on here?
So that's crazy.
I just saw somebody on Twitter.
So basically he's saying I don't want to turn it down because I'm not trying to deal with nothing crazy. But it's essentially the guy from Hip Hop DX saying he saw on Twitter somebody said it, so he's trying it. He's trying it. Here he goes.
Play Certified Lover Boy on Spotify.
There it is. So that's him with it on the screen. Oh man. Okay. Okay. UMG engaged in similar pay-to-play schemes to increase their airplay of Not Like Us on the radio. Petitioner has obtained information from a third party indicating that at least one UMG employee made payments to an independent radio promoter, serving as an intermediary, who had agreed to transfer those payments to certain radio stations and/or radio station employees. These radio stations subsequently played or caused to be played Not Like Us without disclosing that they had been paid to do so. This practice, known as payola, is prohibited by the Communications Act of 1934. See 47 USC 317508, and has been the subject of regulatory scrutiny by a number of executive agencies. In 2006, UMG agreed to pay $12 million in a settlement with the New York Attorney General following an investigation involving accusations that UMG executives had a broad array of pay-for-play tactics to secure radio airplay for music. In connection with UMG settlement, then New York Attorney General Eliot Spitzer explained, consumers have a right not to be misled about the way in which the music they hear on the radio is selected. He continued to say that the pay-for-play makes a mockery of claims that only the best or most popular music is broadcast. Separately, in 2005, UMG was sued by 2 radio promotion companies alleging fraudulent pay-to-play practices. So they're essentially saying they have a history of doing this. While historically payola has been thought of in terms of paying radio stations to play songs, in February 2020, the Federal Trade Commission, that's also the FTC, released guidance stating that by paying an influencer to pretend that their endorsement or review is untainted by a financial relationship, this is illegal payola. On information and belief, UMG employed a similar scheme by paying social media influencers to promote and endorse the song and video. For example, Petitioner understands that UMG paid the popular NFR podcast, which has nearly 300,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 330 followers on X, to promote Not Like Us and its video without disclosing the payment. As part of its deal with UMG, the NFR podcast published podcast episodes, tweets, and other content publicly about the song. And in a sea change for UMG's internal policy, UMG removed the song's copyright restrictions on YouTube and Twitch, thereby whitelisting the song for the first time in UMG history, which further incentivized influencers to spread the song. UMG schemed to ensure Not Like Us broke through on Spotify and elsewhere worked. Not Like Us broke Spotify records, as Interscope posted on its X account. That's a picture of Interscope retweeting the NFR podcast. Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us becomes the fastest rap song to reach 300 million Spotify streams. It only took 35 days. That's crazy, because I didn't know NFR podcast was working with the labels like that. To date, Not Like Us has almost 900 million streams on Spotify and holds the record for the biggest single-day streams of a hip-hop song and the most streamed diss track in Spotify history. Not Like Us has spent 27 weeks on Spotify's City Chart for New York City, which ranks the weekly streaming popularity of songs by users in New York, New York. Within a week of its initial release, Not Like Us broke the record for the most streamed song in a 7-day period with 96 million streams. After UMG published the video, Not Like Us returned to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, and in the same week, the song was streamed an additional 53.8 million times and played on the radio an additional 40 million times. From July 4th to August 8th, 2024, the video ranked first on YouTube's weekly top music videos chart. On November 13th, 2024, the iHeartRadio leaderboard reported that Not Like Us was the second most popular song on the platform. On New York radio, Not Like Us remains, as of the date of this filing, a top 40 hit on popular music and hip-hop stations, including Z100, Power 105.1, and WQHT 97.1 FM Hot 97. From May 9, 2024 to August 15, 2024, the song was among the top 10 of all songs streamed in New York City. UMG touted the record-breaking success on July 16, 2024. Interscope reposted on X that the song had become the best-selling rap song of 2024 in the U.S. On July 24, 2024, UMG posted on its X account about the song charting as the most streamed song of the week. On August 29, 2024, UMG posted on X with a link to the Summer Hits 2024 playlist by Spotify and the caption, Song of the Summer. UMG fan lands 4 out of 5 on Spotify, Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish, Hot to Go, Chappelle Roan, Not Like Us, Espresso. UMG schemes to artificially inflate the popularity of Not Like Us were motivated, at least in part, by the desire of executives at Interscope to maximize their own profits. UMG executives have an annual incentive program pursuant to which they are rewarded for meeting and surpassing sales and profits projections, among other metrics. The incentives are largely based on the specific UMG division, rather than the performance of UMG more generally. For example, the annual incentive of bonus of Interscope CEO John Janik is based 90% on the financial success of Interscope and only 10% on the financial success of UMG generally. Thus, on information and belief, Mr. Janik and other executives at Interscope have been incentivized to maximize the financial success of Interscope through the promotion of Not Like Us and its revitalizing impact on the artist's prior recording catalog, including his first 5 studio albums, which are owned by Interscope. Petitioner has received information that UMG has been taking steps in an apparent effort to conceal its schemes, including but not limited to by terminating employees associated with or perceived as having loyalty to Drake. Indeed, UMG has demonstrated that it has no interest in taking responsibility for its misconduct. Over the past several months, Drake has repeatedly sought to engage UMG in discussions to resolve the ongoing harm he has suffered as a result of UMG's actions. UMG refused to engage in negotiations and insisted that UMG is not responsible for its own actions. Instead, UMG has pointed the finger at Mr. Duckworth, insisted that Drake should initiate legal action against Mr. Duckworth rather than UMG, and even threatened to bring its own legal claims against Mr. Duckworth if Drake were to pursue claims against UMG. Streaming and licensing is a zero-sum game. Every time a song breaks through, it means another artist does not. UMG's choice to saturate the music market with Not Like Us comes at the expense of its other artists like Drake. As Drake is Petitioner's sole owner and Petitioner owns the copyrights to Drake's entire catalog, Petitioner suffered economic harm as a result of UMG's scheme. The parties. Petitioner Frozen Moments LLC is a limited liability company registered in the state of Florida. Frozen Moments is an entity wholly owned by Drake, through which Drake furnishes his recording services as a vocalist and musician, and its copyright, and is the copyright holder of Drake's sound recordings, including music videos. As such, Petitioner competes with Interscope. Respondent UMG is a wholly owned subsidiary of Universal Music Group, NV, a publicly owned limited liability company incorporated under the law of the Netherlands. UMG is a Delaware corporation registered to do business in the state of New York. UMG has divisions including but not limited to Interscope, which represents Mr. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, and Republic Records, which represents Drake. Interscope's publicity team operates out of the 755 Broadway office. Respondent Spotify USA Inc. is a Delaware corporation with headquarters in New York City at World Trade Center. Spotify is a digital music, podcast, and video service. Jurisdiction and venue. The court has personal jurisdiction over UMG pursuant to CPLR 302. UMG regularly transacts business within the state, including by doing business and entering into contracts with New York-based Spotify, licensing and promoting music to streaming and radio broadcast services within the state, and supplying its music management and publicity services in the state. The events at issue, including UMG's licensing contract with Spotify and payments to New York-based radio stations to inflate the popularity of the song, occurred within the state. UMG also owns, uses, or possesses real property at the Broadway office, where it hosts offices for its catalog division and publishing arm, Universal Music Publishing Group. UMG employs numerous individuals within the state as its marketing partnerships, media and properties, and publicity professionals groups operate out of its New York offices. This court has personal jurisdiction over Spotify pursuant to CPLR 302. Spotify regularly transacts business within the state, including by doing business and entering into contracts with paying and non-paying subscribers based in New York and promoting its streaming services within the state. The events at issue, including Spotify's licensing contract with UMG, occurred within the state. Spotify uses its World Trade Center office as its corporate headquarters in the United States and employs numerous individuals within the state. Venue is proper pursuant to CPLR 503 because a foreign corporation authorized to transact business in the state shall be deemed a resident of the county in which its principal office is located. Additionally, pursuant to CPL 503A, CPLR 503A, a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to the claims occurred in the County of New York. Petitioner requires pre-action discovery and preservation. Frozen Moments has commenced this special proceeding pursuant to CPLR 3102 to seek pre-action discovery to allow petitioner to identify appropriate defendants and frame a complaint for a claim under the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. And 2, to identify appropriate defendants and frame a complaint for a claim under Section 349, the New York Business Law, the NY Deceptive Businesses Act, and Section 350 and 350A of the New York General Business Law, the NY False Advertising Act. Civil RICO. Petitioner has a viable cause of action for civil RICO with predicate acts of wire fraud, mail fraud, and or bribery for UMG's payments to unknown third parties in the form of reduced licensing fees to Spotify. However, petitioner requires additional information in order to frame his complaint and satisfy the heightened Rule 9b, pleading standard applicable to complaints sounding in fraud. Specifically, petitioner requires information about the method by which the third parties were paid in order to determine which underlying predicate acts to plead, and requires information about which benefits were conferred upon UMG in exchange for the payments. Additionally, petitioner lacks sufficient information to identify the third parties who acted in conspiracy with UMG. Deceptive business practice and false advertising. Petition has information that agents of UMG paid at least one third party to use bots to stream the song on Spotify, and on information and belief, this practice extended to multiple third parties to artificially stream the song and video. UMG has also gave financial benefits to Spotify and other unknown third parties to promote and play the song and video without disclosing those payments. UMG then touted the success of the song and video, knowing the success was artificially inflated by its own manipulation. These practices harm consumers. They also violate the NY Deceptive Business Act and the NY False Advertising Act. Without the requested pre-litigation discovery, petitioner lacks sufficient information to identify the known but anonymous third-party streamer and to identify any additional streamers who UMG paid. Petitioner also lacks sufficient facts to frame the complaint regarding what was exchanged for UMG's payments. Petitioner seeks the following limited pre-action disclosure from UMG. The UMG requested information: 1. Documents and communications sufficient to show the identities of all third parties that UMG, its agents, or anyone working on behalf of UMG Interscope paid without public disclosure to promote, publish, or recommend the song. Its accompanying cover image, the image or video, including but not limited to radio stations, influencers, music platforms, and music publications, as well as the dates, methods, and amounts of those payments. Documents and communications sufficient to show the identities of all third parties that UMG, its agents, or anyone working on behalf of UMG Interscope paid to use bots or any other similar technology to stream the song or video, as well as the dates, methods, and amounts of those payments. And 3, documents, communications sufficient to show what the third parties agreed to provide and did provide in exchange for these payments. Petitioner seeks the following limited pre-action disclosure from Spotify. The Spotify requested information: 1. Documents and communications sufficient to show the dates, methods, and amounts of financial benefit, whether in the form of direct payment or reduced licensing fees, provided to Spotify by UMG Interscope, its agents, or anyone working on its behalf in exchange for the promotion, publication, or recommendation of the song on Spotify, and documents and communications sufficient to show what Spotify agreed to provide and did provide in exchange for any such benefits. Petitioner has further commenced the special proceeding pursuant to CPLR 3102 to seek an order requiring UMG, including Interscope and all other divisions, as well as UMG's directors, officers, and relevant employees, to preserve all documents and communications regarding the song, image, and video during the pendency of any litigation that petitioner commences against respondent and/or any unknown third parties for the underlying causes of action discussed herein. Petitioner expects that much of the relevant evidence will be in the form of messages on social media platforms, payment applications, and text messages, including but not limited to iMessage and WhatsApp, which may not be preserved in the usual course. Petitioner is aware that senior executives at UMG regularly communicate for business through messaging platforms and applications. Exhibit A to the verified petition is a proposed subpoena ducis tecum to UMG, commanding UMG to reproduce the UMG requested information. Exhibit B to the verified petition is a proposed subpoena ducis tecum to Spotify, commanding Spotify to produce the Spotify requested information. Exhibit C to the verified petition is a proposed order authorizing, pursuant to CPLR 3102C, the issuance of subpoenas ducis tecum in the form of the subpoenas attached as Exhibits A and B. No previous application has been made for the relief requested herein. Wherefore, petitioner respectfully requests that the court enter an order pursuant to CPLR 3102C, compelling respondent UMG to provide to petitioner within 14 days of service on UMG by overnight mail a copy of an order with notice of entry, documents, and communications responsive to the request in Exhibit A. Pursuant to CPLR 3102, compelling respondent Spotify to provide to petitioner within 14 days of service on Spotify by overnight mail a copy of an order with notice of entry, documents, and communications responsive to the request in Exhibit B. Pursuant to CPLR 3102, compelling respondent UMG to preserve all documents and communications regarding the song, image, and video during the pendency of any litigation that petitioner commences against respondent and or any unknown third parties for underlying causes of action discussed herein. So they don't want them to get rid of anything that has to do with that during that time frame. Granting such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. Aubrey Drake Graham affirms the following to be true under the penalties of perjury pursuant to civil practice law and Rule CPLR 2106. I am the corporate officer of the petitioner Frozen Moments LLC in this proceeding, and thus have personal knowledge of the facts herein. I have read the foregoing petition and its factual contents are true to my personal knowledge, except as to the matters alleged therein to be upon information and belief, and as to those matters I believe them to be true. I affirm this 25th day of November 2024 under the penalties and perjury under the laws of New York, which may include a fine or imprisonment, that the foregoing is true, and I understand that this document may be filed in action or proceeding in a court of law. Aubrey Drake Graham. There we have it, guys. I find it, there's some interesting things in this. You know, I have a couple questions myself. You know, I definitely have a couple questions myself. You know, I posted some of the Drake songs. I tried to post the beef as everything was happening, and all of the Drake songs got taken down by UMG. But I do think that's a little crazy that the other songs got to stay up. You know, I watched stuff like Back on Fig and different things like that on there. You know, they said they had to pass from Kendrick Lamar to leave the stuff up. They was whitelisted. So I don't know if Kendrick Lamar had an idea or not, because this isn't saying that Kendrick Lamar did it. This is Drake saying that the record label did it to him. I wonder if that's why he did the whole tailor-made freestyle, knowing that UMG is going against AI and AI music. Is that the reason why he did it? Because that didn't make any sense in the battle to me. That would make sense why he named it Push-Ups and then dropping Give Me 50 and all that stuff, like he was talking like he was supposed to get paid. You know what I mean? He was talking like that. That's why maybe he was saying like Kendrick Lamar is being controlled by Top and all of them. This is just me speculating. I definitely know that this is interesting. I know a lot of people play Not Like Us, but what I also know is that people have a history of using bots to, you know, let's say I don't like you, I don't want your song to do good, so I pay for the bots to go on your song, and then Spotify or one of these places find out you're using bots or got bot plays, and then they take all of your streams away, and it impacts your release, impacts your name, right? Let's say I don't like you, so I spend $15 and buy you 20,000 followers, and everybody who was following you yesterday and you had 10,000 followers, you wake up to 30,000, and now your ratio looks funny and you didn't do it. You know, they say one West Coast podcast does that to other West Coast podcasts. He buys bots and fake views while people are on live to try to get their lives taken down or suspended by YouTube. So botting is used in a lot of different ways, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to read it. I'm not going to go too far into all the extra stuff. Hopefully you found some information and this helped you out and what you were looking for. Follow me at 365 O.T.G. You know, if you want, click the channel. I do cover news outside of all of the other stuff that I do for producers. That's why I'm doing this. I'm big on independence in the music business. So, yeah. Hit that button. Follow 365 O.T.G. And that's it. We out.